What is going on, guys? We're back today looking at more NHL 19 ratings. Just what you guys came for, right? Or maybe not. Maybe you clicked on a video because you love me. If that's the case, I love you too. If that wasn't the reason, I still love you. Regardless, we got numbers 40 through 21 of the NHL 19 ratings that EA has released. And once again, we've got some controversial stuff to go over. Prepare your earplugs. We got some more entertainment for the day. Hopefully some entertainment. More of me complaining, which happens to occur a lot these days, and agreeing at the same time, you know? Starting off the list at number 40, Alexander Barkov. I like it. I like it. 88 overall Barkov. Very fair. I can agree with it. I respect Barkov. Hopefully he can have a better season this year. Maybe even improve. Oh, I shouldn't say better. He had a pretty good season. Have another great season this year. Improve on that rating. Number 39, though. Here we go. PK Subban. 88 overall. Is this the biggest surprise on the list? There's a top Matt Murray. PK was an 88 overall to start last season, I'm pretty sure, right? Had one of the best seasons of his career, finishing third in Norris voting. But the most surprising part of all of this, it's not how PK Subban performed this year. It's not what his rating was last year. It's the fact that he's on the cover of NHL 19 and his overall didn't increase at all. That's almost unheard of. Like, I've understood, even when we do ratings predictions, PK Subban's always not really been like this highly rated player by EA, whatnot, everything else. Understanding that, even when I did ratings predictions, I was like, they're going to give him like a 90 overall. Not because whether he deserved it or didn't deserve it, I felt like they're going to give him that 90 overall because he's on the cover. We've seen it happen in years past where the guy on the cover gets a little bit more of a ratings boost, and I can't believe he's only got an 88 from it. Like I said, skill aside, whether he deserves the 90 or not, I'm just strongly surprised EA didn't give him a 90 overall. I can get behind an 88. Maybe an 89 would have been a little bit more. I don't know. 88's not bad. I can get behind it for PK Subban. We're going to see who else is in front of him on the list as well. I mean, look at it. Number 38 is Roman Josi. Rosie, I like it. We're going to start calling him Rosie. Yosi's been doing great as well. Number 38, right? 88 overall as well as PK Subban. So it's hard to be like, oh, PK Subban's a mile ahead of Roman Josi. You know, Roman Josi's a great player as well. And as far as my understanding is concerned, EA did say PK Subban's a top 10 defender. So top 10, that's solid, right? I can get behind him being a top 10. And that being said, that would mean Roman Josi would be number 9 on the list. Or they're, you know, PK could be like 8, and they're only giving us the top 8 defenders calling PK top 10. But I'd like to think top 10, PK's 10, Roman Josi's 9. 37, Oliver Ekman-Larsson's 8. I love seeing Ekman-Larsson up this high on the list. Getting a little bit more respect this year. He plays great over there. You don't hear a lot about him because he's over there playing on Arizona. Maybe this year will be a little bit different for him now. Be nice to see him go out there and get some good wins. Maybe get in a playoff appearance here in the next year or two. Number 36 is Artemi Panarin. My favorite. I respect it. I really do. Like, I'm a big Panarin guy because, you know, Blue Jacket fan, but I respect an 88. An 88, that's fair. 88's fair. Now, if I would say Panarin, 88, and Brad Marchand, 88 at 35. That would be where I tell you to prepare your ears. Because I think Brad Marchand is a rat, you know what, just as much as the next guy that isn't a Bruins fan. But I'm disgusted. Maybe EA made the mistake of not looking at how many games he played this year because he had 85 points and missed 14 games. In other words, Marchand was going to crack 100 points this season. And what's more disgusting is Ryan Getzlaf, great guy, absolutely nothing against him, but he had 1 or 2 ticks lower on all of his shooting stats compared to Brad Marchand. Getzlaf scored 39 goals in the last 3 seasons. Marchand would have had 39 goals this season if he played 82 games. How in the world does that add up where a guy scores 34 goals on a season? Like I said, he probably scores 40. Might be a little bit modest. Probably does, though. 40 goals this season by Marchand. 39 by Getzlaf in 3 seasons combined. But somehow Marchand only gets a +1, a +2 on shooting stats compared to him. That just, it doesn't make sense. Not to mention there's 2 guys that's averaged more goals per game than Marchand over those 3 seasons, who've played over 200 games, that is. Those players being Malkin and Ovechkin. That's pretty good company if you ask me. The most incredible part of all of this is that he's looked at as a great 2-way forward by EA, which is fine, absolutely understandable, right? But it's the fact that how in the world can you be a premier goal scorer in the NHL and possess great defensive stats and still only manage an 88 overall? I understand completely why he had the lower overall last year, and I explained it. You know, it was his first true point per game season he had last year. Granted, he scored 37 goals. Was that back-to-back years? That was his first true point per game season last year, so I understood them not jumping the gun early on smacking him with like a 90 overall last year. But this is back-to-back seasons, 85 points. Like I said, 37 plus goals for 3 straight seasons had he not missed a few games this season. And this is without a doubt the most shocking forward overall to date for NHL 19 in my opinion. Brad Marchand, Love or hate, the guy completely deserves a better overall than what he got. Number 34 was Devan Dubnyk, 89 overall. I wouldn't have a problem with Dubnyk being this high on the list if it wasn't for the whole Pekka Rinne being a lower overall than him. But I do want to bring it up real quick. A stat to put things into perspective for some fellas. We talked heavily about Freddie Anderson in yesterday's video. Well, Devan Dubnyk played 6 less games than Anderson and seen 500 less shots last season. Dubnyk had 2.5 goals against average, while Anderson had 2.8 goals against average. A 2.8 would be Dubnyk's goals against average this season had he played on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, I ask you this question. If I threw you a 2.8 goals against average with Dubnyk's stats this season, would you look at him differently? Would you be like, oh, he's not as great as people think he is? Because I feel like that might be the shadow being casted on Freddie Anderson. I could be wrong, though. Everybody thinks differently, right? It's going to be difference in opinions completely. But I just want to bring that up, put that into perspective for people, like how much of a difference seeing all of these shots really does have. I remember the one season, Hank had like a 920 save percentage, and he had like a 2.6 or 2.7 goals against average. Like the Rangers just, they're like, oh, Tank back there. You know, we don't need to play defense. Just throw him on net. He likes it, right? I guess that's what they was thinking that season. But it's just crazy to think of how much of a difference shots can really make to a goaltender's stats. And I think some people might overlook that sometimes. Number 33 is Johnny Quick. Had one of the best seasons of his career this season, so I don't have too many complaints about him being 88. Nice to see him, or 89. Nice to see him up here on the list. Number 32 is Evgeny Kuznetsov. Again, another 89 overall. Kuznetsov, great player. Glad to see him up here. I will be interested to see who's up here above him still as far as centerman's concerned. If you remember, he didn't quite crack our top 10 centers, although we thought he was very deserving of being up there. Great player. Glad to see that Kuznetsov's getting that recognition. 31, PIETRANGELO. Again, another 89 overall. Petro's a stud. Seeing him up this far up the list should be no surprise. What is a surprise is he's still only 28 years old. I can't get past that. I don't know why I feel like this guy's like 35 years old. He's only 28. It's amazing. He's got like 10 years left in his career. I feel like he's been here for like 6 Ducks ages. Number 30, Mark Scheifele, 89. Phil Kessel is 29 at 89 overall. Blake Wheeler followed up again with an 89 overall, and I brought all these guys up together is because the difference is what, about 6-7 spots between, you know, guys like Devan Dubnyk and a 27th player in Brent Burns, who was also an 89. Matthews 89, Laine 89. And before we get into a deeper dive of those players ahead of him, you gotta remember, like, there is 9 spots between those guys, but they're all an 89 overall. They had to throw them in there somewhere, right? So you can't be too mad if one guy's at 34 and another guy's at 25. Just a ranking thing at that point. To defend EA for a little bit there. Because I feel I'm doing these ratings things when you put a bunch of guys at the same overall. It's tough when you have a bunch of guys 89. It's like, which one's the better player? But going back to, say, like Brent Burns, he had a slower start, turned it around a bit, but I guess it wasn't quite good enough because he was a 90, right? Pretty sure he's a 90. Did he get downgraded? Because he had a pretty good overall going to NHL 18. So either he got downgraded or he ended NHL 17 with an 89 overall. Should be doing my homework on that, but I'm not. Sorry, Brent Burns, but he did, like I said, he turned it around. I guess it just wasn't good enough to maintain that higher overall. It's all right. Then we've seen Auston Matthews 89 at 26 and Patrik Laine at 25. And tell me EA didn't put Laine just a spot higher than Matthews just to trigger Toronto fans. I mean, come on. There are a bunch of trolls over there at EA. But at this point, I'm sure everyone will continue to go back and forth on who the better player is. At the end of the day, they're just on the same level of being dominant goal scorers. It's funny because you can look at these two guys and be like, oh, if you're a Matthews supporter, you'd be like, well, Matthews missed this many games this season, or he would have scored 40 goals just like Laine did, la-di-da-di-da. Well, the exact same thing could have been said about Laine supporters last season when Laine, he would miss 9-10 games as well. Been like, well, he would have won the Calder, he played 10 games. Well, back and forth. At the end of the day, they're both fantastic players. And I think they're perfectly rated for it. Like, one's not higher than the other. They both deserve a really good overall. They're still young, so there's still room for them to grow an overall from next year, maybe 89 to a 90, 91. And I honestly don't think you can say right now there is one clear-cut better player out of the two. Maybe in 2 or 3 more years we can be like, yeah, this guy's clearly proven himself. Laine's the better player, right? But right now, we have to say it could be either one. Give him time to play it out. One thing we can't argue is these guys have some great players around them, and both teams will be seeing the playoffs for many years to come. Number 24 is Claude Giroux, just coming off that career year, all but deserving of that higher overall. I was interested to see how high they got him this season because of that year. 89 overall. Not too bad for Claude. Number 23, Tuukka Rask. The first guy on the list to crack 90 overall, and someone at EA was doing these overalls, and it was like, bet none of you can top Matt Murray being ranked higher than Pekka Rinne, and Rammer's like, hold my beer. But no, seriously, I think there are definitely going to be a lot of naysayers about Tuukka Rask being this high on the list. But he's just gone about his business in a very consistent manner over the years. I mean, albeit he didn't have some flashy dominant season this year, he did what he was asked to do. It's not like he's going out there and, letting in 50 goals a game. He's going out there, he's making his saves he needs to, he's keeping his team in games, he's playing great, and he's always had that history of being a great goaltender, and he's never really seen a dramatic fall-off for a season. I mean, you see the 915s, 916s save percentages for some seasons, but you see a lot of goals, a bad season in 908, 909. He's just been consistent. He's been consistently a good player, and I think it's understandable why he's a 90 overall. I just can't get past the fact that Pekka Rinne being an 88, I think that's where I'm struggling at right here. But I respect it. I understand. Good spot for Tuukka Rask. Good goaltender. Number 22, Tyler Seguin. Number 21, Jamie Benn, both 90 overalls as well. And this is my last part that I just don't understand the logic of. Seguin, I absolutely love you and will forever be my favorite player that's not a Blue Jacket. And I'd hit a golf ball if you're junk any day of the week. But Seguin and Benn pretty much replicate each other's numbers year to year. Almost like they play on the same line or something, you know what I mean? So I'm not understanding how Seguin came out of this with the clear-cut better shooting numbers than Jamie Benn when it comes to stats. And even worse, I'm back on a rat wagon. Here we go. Poor little Brad Marchand had more goals than both of these guys over the last 3 seasons, but gets rewarded with lower shooting stats. Benn and Seguin deserve every single bit of those 90 overalls. Do not get me wrong by that. I think they're great, fantastic players. But what Vancouver Canuck did Brad Marchand knock out? Who was it? Was it Besser? It had to be Besser. It's the only logical reason. He is just holding a little bit of a grudge against him. And trust me, he does like to hold those grudges. So I don't know. I feel like Marchand deserves the highest overall. I feel like, there's always going to be controversy. There's always going to be people thinking differently. There's always going to be different opinions. I've realized that when I do the ratings predictions videos on where I think guys should be rated, that everybody's going to look at players differently. So this is just how I'm looking at guys. I'd like to hear the way you guys are looking at them as well. Who's misplaced on the list? I'm sure everybody's thinking differently. Let me know down below. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.